Hello my loves and welcome back to my sketchbook. Today I'm sharing this thread that you might have seen in my last vlog, but if you didn't see that, let me catch you up on what this is all about. I've grown more and more confident with the style of my art this year, but one area where I'm kind of stuck in my old ways is colour, and actually end up gravitating towards painting either the true colour of something, or usually it just comes out as a more bright or bold or like more colourful interpretation of what I'm seeing. And that would be all well and good if that were the style that I wanted, but I actually prefer the look of a more muted colour scheme and would like to find a way to introduce that into my work. And just telling myself to use less saturated versions of colours hasn't really worked. As I said, I just naturally end up mixing brighter colours, so I thought I would just start trying out different existing palettes to see what might work for me if I limit the colours that I can use. So as the title suggests, today I'm testing out the Zorn Palette, as made famous by Anders Zorn. It is traditionally more used for portraits, as you end up with lots of lovely like fleshy earth tones, but I wanted to see how it would do with my usual painting subject matter of plants and landscapes. The only colours used are cadmium red light, yellow ochre and ivory black and white. The cool black, especially when next to the warmer colours, acts as a substitute for blue, but having read up on this palette and looked into the work of Anders Zorn, it does look like he also used cobalt blue in some of his paintings, and other colours here and there, sometimes just using this limited palette as a base. So to start with, you saw me swatching all the colours and mixes that can be made from them in all their different combinations. It was a really useful practice to get to know how to vary the colours and how just slight differences in the mixes can have a huge variety of results. This is my first time actually doing something like this, and it took over an hour, well over an hour, and it was pretty difficult actually, but I'll leave a link below to a page that explained the process much better than I could. Towards the end I had found my stride and figured out the best way to do it, and I actually think this is something that I'll do more of in the future as I continue to test different limited palettes. Once I was done, I decided to do a couple of paintings to really push these colours to their limits. I chose to paint a watermelon and a landscape to see how well I could work without vivid greens and blues, and it was a really interesting experiment, lots of fun, and just the kind of thing I love using my sketchbook for. And information on this sketchbook and the paints I'm using, etc. will be linked below, as always, by the way. But yeah, I loved the warm muted tones of these paintings, and I can see how this palette would work so well with portraits, but I do think that I need blue, which isn't a huge surprise. I swapped out the black for Payne's grey halfway through to see if the even cooler tones of that grey would make a difference, but I think what I'm going to try next is keep the yellow ochre, swap that really saturated red for a really saturated blue, and maybe go for a warm brown to act as both my black and reds. I don't know if that'll work, but that's what experiments are for. I'm actually really surprised at just how much I enjoyed all this and how eager it's made me to keep experimenting. If you want a little challenge or just a way to shake up the look of your next painting, I'd really recommend using a super limited palette like this one, and I'd 100% recommend trying this swatching technique. As time consuming as it might be, it really forces you to focus. It's a really quite mindful practice, and you get to know the colours you're using so much better. Anyway, I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video, but I hope today's sketchbook session has inspired you to do a little something creative today, maybe a bit of experimentation too if you're feeling up for it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye.